So, picture this: a rainy Tuesday in downtown Chicago, and Sarah Miller's hauling a takeout bag up to the 48th floor of some gleaming corporate tower, her old Converse sneakers squishing against the elevator floor, her hoodie damp from the drizzle outside. She's just a courier, right, dropping off pad thai for some big shot. But the second those elevator doors slide open, it's like she's walked into a lion's den. A security guard, all puffed up chest and clipped tone, barks at her to stop, says this floor's for execs only, sweetheart. And the assistants nearby, these polished types with their designer coffee cups, they're already snickering, like she's some kind of street rat who wandered in by mistake. Sarah's used to this. You know, the sideways glances, the smirks, the way people size her up by her faded clothes and her beat-up backpack. But she's got a job to do, so she just says, "Calm as you please. I've got a delivery for Mr. Grayson." And the room, oh, man, it explodes in laughter, like she just told the world's worst joke. One guy, this smarmy assistant with a gelled-up hairdo and a tie that probably costs more than her rent, leans over and says, loud enough for everyone, "What? You think Grayson's eating takeout with the help?" More laughs, sharp and mean, slicing through the air. But then get this: the boardroom door swings open, and there's Grayson himself, the CEO, all broad shoulders and no-nonsense vibe. And he just says, "I ordered it. Thanks, Sarah." The room goes dead quiet, like someone hit mute. And Sarah, she just hands over the bag, her hands steady, her face blank, but her eyes, there's something in them, like she's seen this movie before and knows how it ends. Now, Sarah's no ordinary delivery girl. She's got a past most of these suits couldn't dream of. Turned down a gig with a global think tank because she wanted a life that felt real, not some cushy desk job tied to her family's old money. She grew up in a world of penthouses and private schools, but it was cold, you know, all expectations and no warmth. So she walked away, chose late-night deliveries and a tiny apartment over a life that felt like a cage. But nobody in that room knows that. To them, she's just a nobody in a hoodie, and they're itching to remind her of it. The assistant, this guy named Derek with a smirk that could curdle milk, grabs the takeout bag like he's doing her a favor and says, "All right, you can go now, delivery girl." The way he says it, it's like a slap, and the others pile on. A woman in a silk blouse, her earrings glinting like tiny daggers, mutters, she probably thinks this is Uber Eats headquarters. The laughter's back, louder now, and someone else, a junior exec with a crooked grin, leans over to the guard and says, "Better check her bag. Bet she's here to swipe some pens." The guard, this burly dude who looks like he's bored out of his skull, steps up and goes, "Open it." Sarah doesn't flinch, doesn't argue. She just unzips her backpack, slow and deliberate. And there's nothing in there but a water bottle, a dog-eared book of poetry, and a crumpled city map. The junior exec snorts. "What? You navigating to a better life with that?" The room's eating it up, their laughs bouncing off the marble walls. But Sarah, she just zips the bag back up, her eyes locking on the guard for a split second, not scared, not angry, just steady, like she's faced worse than this and come out fine. She's about to head for the elevator when she hears this sharp, panicked voice from the boardroom, a woman in a navy blazer, pacing with a phone glued to her ear, hissing, "Where's the damn translator? We're tanking this deal." Sarah catches a glimpse through the open door: 3 Japanese clients, suits sharp as knives, sitting at the conference table, their faces blank but their fingers tapping, impatient. She could leave. Her job's done, the pad thai's delivered, but something about that tension, that wire about to snap, it pulls her in. She lingers, just for a second, and that's when a woman with a stack of papers, some assistant named Claire with a fake smile and a voice like she's talking to a kid, shoves the stack into Sarah's hands and says, "Since you're here, make yourself useful. 10 copies, double-sided, don't screw it up." The room chuckles, someone mutters, "Bet she jams the machine." And Sarah, she just sets the papers down, slow, precise, and says, soft but clear, "I'm just here to deliver food." Claire's eyes narrow, her smile gone venomous, and she snaps, "Oh, come on, you're wasting space. Do it or get out." The laughter swells again, each jab sharper than the last, but Sarah's already turning, her sneakers squeaking faintly, heading for the elevator. Then the navy blazer woman spots her and barks, "Hey you, this isn't a sideshow, get out." But Sarah pauses, looks at her, and says, quiet as anything, need help? I speak Japanese. The room freezes then erupts, louder, crueler. Derek, the gelled hair guy, leans back and goes, what you? Translate. Where'd you learn Japanese? TikTok? The woman with the earrings chimes in. She probably just knows how to say sushi roll. They're howling now, feeding off each other, but one of the Japanese clients, a guy with a sharp gaze, taps his pen and asks Sarah, in rapid Japanese, about a tricky clause in the contract. The room's waiting for her to crash and burn, but Sarah, she just nods, steps forward, and answers in perfect Japanese, her voice clear, her explanation so sharp she ties it to a trade law from memory. The client's eyebrows shoot up, his colleagues nod, and the room. It's like the air got sucked out. Derek's smirk fades, the navy blazer woman's phone slips in her hand, and Sarah, she just stands there, her hoodie zipped up, her hands loose, like she didn't just save their asses. Grayson, the CEO, steps in, his voice cutting through the silence. He's asking for more on the contract. Our translator's AWOL. Sarah doesn't miss a beat. I can do it, she says, not loud, not pushy, just sure. Derek snorts. Oh, this'll be good. But Sarah ignores him, pulls out a chair, and sits down. The client starts talking, fast, precise, and Sarah's right there with him, translating 3 financial clauses in under a minute. Not just the words but the legal nuance, like she wrote the damn thing. The clients lean forward, one of them smiles a real smile, and the room's not laughing anymore. But they're not done with her. A senior manager, this guy named Paul with a voice like he's selling used cars, leans in and says, cute, but let's not waste time. You're not qualified to sit here. He points at her hoodie, his lip curling. Go grab us some coffee black, no sugar. The room's back to laughing, someone adds. Make it quick, or you'll miss your next drop-off. Sarah's fingers pause on the table, her eyes flick to Paul, and she doesn't say a word. She just stands, her chair scraping softly, and heads for the door. Paul calls after her, don't forget my cream, and the laughter's so loud it's like a wave crashing over her. But at the door, Sarah stops, turns, and looks at him not with anger, but with this quiet, piercing calm that makes his grin wobble. Then Paul, trying to keep the upper hand, throws out a challenge. If you're so great, interpret the gala tonight's 6 languages, no mistakes. He says it like it's a death sentence, and the room lights up with smirks. Claire, the assistant, laughs and says, a delivery girl on stage? That's rich. They think she'll back down, but Sarah just looks at Paul and says, I'll do it. That night, the gala's in this glitzy ballroom at the top of the tower, chandeliers glowing, tables draped in white, the kind of place where people like Sarah don't get invited. She walks in, still in her hoodie and jeans, and the stairs hit her like spotlights. A woman in a glittery dress whispers, is she lost? A guy with a champagne glass chuckles, must be delivering the shrimp. Sarah doesn't blink. She walks to the stage, where a tech guy adjusting the mic smirks and says, don't trip over the cord, kid. The crowd nearby laughs, but Sarah just taps the mic, looks out at the room, and starts speaking in French, introducing the first speaker with a warmth that shuts them up. She moves through Spanish, Japanese, Russian, German, Chinese, each one flawless, her voice steady, her translations not just words but stories, weaving cultures together. By the final speech, a 6-language masterpiece, the room's on its feet, clapping, not just polite but stunned, like they're seeing her for the first time. Halfway through, a Japanese rep asks her about a cultural reference she slipped in, and before she can answer, Paul interrupts, his voice booming. Don't bother her, she's just the help. The crowd laughs, but Sarah responds in Japanese, so sharp and graceful the rep beams and shakes her hand, ignoring Paul completely. Grayson takes the stage, his voice like thunder. Meet our new communications advisor, he says, and the room shifts. The glittery dress woman sets her glass down. Paul stares at his shoes, and Claire, she's gone, slipped out before the end. Sarah steps off the stage, her sneakers quiet, her hoodie catching the light. A French diplomat approaches, asks if she's worked with the UN. Before she can answer, Derek, the gelled hair guy, snickers. She's probably never left Chicago. Sarah turns to the diplomat, in perfect French, and says she turned down a UN gig to live life on her terms. The diplomat hands her his card, says, we need you. and Derek's phone hits the floor, the laughter dying in his throat. The next day, the fallout hits hard. Derek's fired. Turns out he'd been emailing snarky comments about the clients. And Grayson's not the forgiving type. Claire's sponsorship deal tanks after her delivery girl jab goes viral on X. Paul's stuck in meetings, his loud voice a little quieter now. Sarah doesn't say a word about it. She doesn't need to. A week later, she's in a small office on the 48th floor, sorting contracts, her hoodie on the chair. A man walks in tall, quiet. Her husband, James, a lawyer who doesn't need to flaunt it. Ready for the next meeting? He asks, and she nods. Always. They walk out together, and the whispers follow, not cruel anymore, just curious. Who is she really? Someone murmurs. Sarah doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. See, Sarah's story, it's not just about her. It's about all of us who've been judged, dismissed, sized up before we could even open our mouths. It's about the times you've walked into a room and felt the air turn cold, the laughs cutting deeper than you'd ever admit. But you're still here, aren't you? Still standing, still fighting. So tell me, where are you watching from? Drop a comment, share your story. Have you ever been underestimated like Sarah? Or maybe you've seen someone else rise above the noise. Hit that like button if her story hit you, and subscribe to keep up with more stories like this, stories about real people, real fights, real wins. Let's talk about it. What's the moment you proved them wrong?